Hello everyone, and I hope you're all well, and welcome to the last episode of the series Music and Mathematics. So far we have seen many stuff, I would say. We also did polyrhythms and polypulses in the last lesson. As I mentioned already many times, I will do it once more. This material needs time to be developed and to become refined. It's a practice actually that never stops, I would say. So please take the time between each chapter to really exercise, and before moving to the next chapter. This time could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be a month, could even be a year. Depends on how often and how much you practice. My ideal method of practicing everything from the gatis until the polyrhythms is to spend about 20 minutes per day. This is not something that you will sit once a week and practice for 4 hours and then you have it. No, it needs a systematic studying. It's like an exercise. It's like doing gymnastics, doing a gym. You don't go once to the gym and then you become fit. You need to train it. If you want to run, you don't start running the marathon straight away. You need to run 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and then you develop something. This is the same way. We need time to understand the syllables. We need time to feel the rhythm. We need time to create the accents on the rhythm and to have these different tempos that we have with jatis. We need even more time to be able to count and sing something together. We need time to do the polyrhythms. So it's all a matter of time. So I'm just saying this so that you take time and really practice in order to move from the one chapter to the other. So our last chapter, it's called yati phrases. So this is a different approach than what we had before with polyrhythm. In this case, we'll be dealing with fragmenting a meter, because we're always talking about cycles, talas, how many talas we need to do polyrhythm, how many talas we need to do that, how many beats, etc. So in this case, we'll be dealing with a tala, but breaking the tala in different fragments, using some geometrical shapes in order to create some kind of rhythmical variation within a tala. So, a yati. What is a yati? A yati, essentially, yati phrases are phrases that use a geometric shape to develop. They always start on the one, on the talasa, and they always finish on the one as well. So it's things that happen within one or more cycles of talas, depending on how long is the phrase we want to make it. And there are 3 types of yati phrases. The first yati phrase is called samayati. And samayati is a phrase that is identical in rhythmic formation that is repeated 3 or more times. Okay, now the notes, because let's also incorporate some notes together, some melodies in this chapter. The notes could be anything, but the rhythmical phrase must be exactly the same. So in this example, I will use a phrase that is 8 matras long in Chatustra. So it's 2 beats long, that I will repeat 3 times, right? Because I said samayati is a phrase that is identical, that can be repeated 3 or more times. So my phrase is 2 beats long, I repeat it 3 times. So I will do this phrase in a tala 6, tala with 6 beats, or in a meter of 6/4. So if we do 2 beats 3 times, we have 6/4, and everything is great. So as you can see, the phrase I have, the rhythmical structure of the phrase is an 8th note, 2 16th note, 16, 8, 16. If I would sing it with syllables, that would be something like a ding, tak, ke, tak, ding, ke, tam, ta, 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 ka, ta, 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 ka, ta, 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 ka, ta. And that's it. I did it 3 times. I will do it again so that you hear it. Tam, ta, 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 tam, ta tam, ta 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 tam, ta tam, ta 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 tam, ta ta. Three identical rhythmical phrases. If I want to incorporate some sulcato syllables, I could do it something like a din, takke, tatim, ke din, takke, tatim, ke din, takke, tatim, ke din. And that's it. This is a samayati, a phrase that is repeated 3 times, of course it could be more, within a cycle, starts and finishes on 1. Now I made an example with some notes so we can hear it also from a melodic perspective. Now, in each repetition I change the notes, okay? I don't use any specific scale or something, I just put some random notes. I made it with a MIDI on my computer, and just so that you can hear it with some pitch. And this is the example I have. That's the one. So dim ta ke ta dim ke dim da 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 dim ke dim ta ke ta dim ke dim. That's the rhythmical phrase, right? That we sang before. Let's do it one more time. And this is a samayati. All right, that's fairly simple, I would say. Let's see the other 2 types of yatis. So, the second type would be Srotovahayati. That's how they call it in India. So, a Srotovahayati is again a sequence of at least 3 cells that repeats 3 times that increases though systematically. So, before in Samayati we had a phrase that was 8 matras long and it was the same always. 8 matras, 8 matras, 8 matras. Now, Srotovahayati is a phrase that increases each time the same number of matras. So if we had 8 matras in our first phrase and the second phrase would be 11 matras, so it's 3 matras more, then the third phrase would be 14 matras. The fourth phrase would be 17 matras, and so on and so forth. So every time it increases with the same number of matras, not something different. And as the other yati phrases, it starts on 1 and finishes on 1. So we have to do some matra calculations in order to find this, in order to construct this yati phrase. So for this example I have here, I am using the same cycle, which is Tala 6, so it's 6/4. If I am in Chatusra, how many matras would that be? 6/4 is 6 beats. Chatusra is 4 matras, so 6 times 4 is 24 matras. Okay. So we have a cycle which is 24 matras, and we want to create a phrase that increases systematically and is repeated at least 3 times. So what I have, after seeing a little bit, there's also an easy calculation I can tell you about. I concluded with the idea of having a phrase in 6 matras, a phrase in 8 matras, and a phrase in 10 matras. So from 6 to 8 we increase 2 matras, from 8 to 10 we increase 2 matras again. So we always increase the same way and our phrase is increasing constantly. How did I do this calculation? That was very simple. Because I decided that I want to do only 3 repeats, so I divided 24 with 3, it got me the number 8, right? So I took 8 as my middle cell, as a middle cell I wanted to work with, and then the number of matras I removed to put at the beginning is the same number of matras I added later on to create the third cell. In this case, I removed 2 matras, so I had 8 in the middle, minus 2, 6 as my first cell, and because I removed 2, I added these 2 later on, so the third cell will be 10. So 6, 8, 10. And that's our yati phrase, because I wanted to do it 3 times. If I would remove 3 matras, so let's say my middle was 8, that would be 8, then the first one would be 5, and the third one would be 11. So I removed 3 matras to make the first cell, then I added 3 matras to make the last cell. And so on and so forth. You can play with this idea as much as you like. So, let's see this yati phrase that I made here. Sroto Vahayati. First of all, let's see it from a rhythmical point of view. As you can see, my original phrase is 8, 2 16th, 8, and then I add 2 16ths, I add 2 matras, and then I add 2 more matras. So I will sing it rhythmically first. 3 and din, take, din, din, take, din, take, din, take, din, take, din. 1. So as you can see, what I added on the second cell is also part of the third cell. So it's not that I add 2 matras from the first cell to the second one, and then I add anything I want, 4 different matras on the second one, on the third one. No, it increases systematically. So I take A, then it's A plus 2, then it's A plus 2 plus 2. So it's the same phrase. And that's also the shape, the geometric shape I talked about at the beginning. It always grows to something. So take a look at the phrase again now after seeing this information. You can see that I added 2 16th notes on the original cell on the second repeat, and on the third repeat I took the second cell and then I added 2 more matras. In this case I added an 8th note. And then I also put some notes just to hear it as an example, and we can hear it now. As you saw also, the notes in this case were the same. So La, Do, Si, Re, then again La, Do, Si, Re, Fa, Mi is these 2 extra 16 notes, and then again La, Do, Si, Re, Fa, Mi, Si, and then that's the one. So I added things at the end every time of my original cell. Let's listen to it one more time now that we have this information. And that's it. Another part is that in this case, I decided to add matras at the end of every cell, but we could do that also at the beginning of every cell. This is totally up to us. As long as we always add at the end or add at the beginning. So it also, when it grows, when this phrase grows and becomes something else, we really see it growing. We don't see just random notes coming on the beginning or at the end or anything like that. We see something growing either this way, so we add things at the end, or we add things at the beginning of the phrase. So that was Sroto Vahayadi. And now let's talk about the last type of yati phrase, which is called Gopuchayati. And as you can imagine, it's exactly the opposite of Sroto Vahayati. It's a sequence, again, of 3 or more cells that decreases systematically. So the same idea we had with Sroto Vahayati, that we add matras, the same number of matras in order to make this yati phrase. In this case, we remove the same number of matras to create our Gopuchayati, with always the principle of yati phrases that they always start on one and they finish on one. They start on Talasan, they finish on Talasan. Okay? So, again, this example that I have here, I chose the same cycle, Tala 6 or 6-4, and then I am in Chatusra. So, Chatusra in Tala 6 is 24 matras, right? Because one bit of Chatusra is 4 matras, and then 6 bits times 4, 24 matras. And I did the same process as I did with Sroto Vahayati. I divided 24 by 8, and then whatever I added, in this case in the first cell, because the first cell has to be bigger, I removed from the following one. And actually, in my example, I did a mirror of what I did in Sroto Vahayati. So I go from 10 matras to 8 matras to 6 matras. Okay? Let's see this example now rhythmically, first of all. So we have 10 matras, 8 and 6. 3 and din, take, take, din, 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 take, take, din, din, take, take, din. One more time. I will use some different syllables to make it more precise. 3 and din, take, take, ta, din, din, take, take, ta, din, take, take, dimmi, din. Okay, this is my metronome. Again, I'll do one more time. Dim, take, take, ta, dim, dim, take, dimmi, dim, dim, take, dimmi, dim. The last dim is the one I just sang. It is not in your example. So you see, it decreases and decreases more, and then we finish on 1. And let's hear also this example now with some notes. That's it. So it's the first one, da, do, si, do, re, do, si. La, do, sin, do, sin, do, la, do, sin, do, re, do, si. La, do, sin, do, re, do. La, do, sin, do, re. So I remove again the same 2 matras from the end in this case. We could also do the same thing I talked about in Strotovahayati. We can remove things from the beginning as well. So let's take some time now to practice these yatis separately, rhythmically first. If you can sing them, of course, feel free to sing them. And let's move on the next part afterwards. So let's take 3 minutes, 1 minute to practice each. So I hope you enjoyed seeing and trying these yati phrases. Of course, this is a huge chapter. There are many possibilities. I use some very basic examples here, but I wanted to introduce you this idea of using this idea of geometric shape to create a rhythmical phrase within a piece of music or anything like that. So let's conclude this chapter by making a nice yati, a more complicated yati, let's say, more that involves other parameters as well. And let's talk about the process that we do to do this yati. So I will start by deciding which yati I want, and I have decided that I want to do a gopucha yati, okay, which is the yati that decreases systematically. So the first thing I want to see is how long this yati will be. So I have chosen, let's say my piece, my composition, the piece I am playing is in 5/4, it's in Tala 5. So I said, okay, I will do a yati on 2 cycles of Tala 5. I will make it a little bit larger. It could be 3, it could be 4, it could be anything. The previous ones were only 1 cycle, but now let's make it 2 cycles. Okay, so I will do something, I will do a yati phrase, a gopucha yati in 2 cycles of 5, Tala 5, in Chatusra. Okay, first information there. Then, how many matras is the duration of this yati phrase? So 2 cycles of 5/4 is 10/4, right? 10 quarter notes, 10 beats. 1 beat of Chatusra is 4 matras long. So 10 multiplied by 4, we have 40 matras. Okay, we said. So we have 40 matras to create this yati phrase. Now, especially when dealing with longer yati phrases, we can also, because sometimes, first of all, a yati phrase can be 3 or more repetitions. So this formula I explained before with dividing by 3 works only we have 3 repetitions. And of course, if our matras can be divided by 3, in this case 40 cannot be divided by 3. So what I did this time, I said, okay, 40, I will make 4 repetitions of this yati phrase. So what I did is that I started playing with numbers, okay, and also to find some numbers that could be close to 40, but always decreasing with the same number of matras, nothing else. Not one time I decrease 2 matras and then I decrease 5 and then I decrease 6, because that's not the yati phrase anymore. And another important element is that in these Yati phrases, we can also use the space between each cell to create rests. So rests are also matras, and this is the thing that will help us to find the exact number we need to formulate our Yati. So in this case, I decided to work with 4 cells, as I said, and I said, okay, my first cell would be 13 matras. The second cell would be 10 matras. So I decreased by 3 matras. The third cell would be 7 matras, 10 minus 3 is 7, and the fourth cell would be 4 matras long. So 13, 10, 7, and 4. Okay, always decreasing by 3. Alright, so we have this now. Let's add these numbers together to see how many matras we have. So if we add 13 with 10, with 7 and 4, we have 34 matras. Oh, but our 2 cycles need 40 matras to be completed. So what do we do with these 6 extra matras? What do we do with them? We cannot fit them in this nice number relationship we found. This is the number of matras we'll use for this space between each cell. So we have 13, 10, 7, and 4, right? I'll do this like this. 13, 10, 7, and 4. So between each cell there is this space. So in total we have 3 spaces. Okay, how can we use this with rest? So we have 6 matras creating, and we have three empty spaces between this cell. So if we put 2 matras in each space, we fill in those 6 matras. So we have 13, 2 matras rest, 10, 2 matras rest, 7, 2 matras rest, and 4. And if we add all these matras together, we have 40 matras. Or in other words, we have 2 cycles of 5-4. The original idea, we wanted to construct a Yati phrase on. There are many possibilities. You could do also something with 3 identical phrases, because a Yati phrase. You could do something with 5 repeats, 6, as many as you want. This is an example I have chosen in order to make this happen. So, I constructed this Yati phrase based on what we said, okay? And I did 2 examples. So, we have 13, 10, 7, and 4 filled in by gaps of 2 matras long. In the first example, I took 13, and in order to go to the 10, I removed notes from the end of my cell. As you can see here, my cell is La, Do, Sol, Fa, Mi, Fa, La, Re, Mi, Sol, Fa, Re, Mi. So every time I remove 3 matras, so for the next cell, I removed the last 3 matras. For the next cell, again I removed the last 3 matras until I came to only 4 matras, which is the 4 matras from my original phrase. And let me play it once for you so you can hear it. And that's our Gopucha Yati. If you see, it's 13 matras, 10 matras, 7 matras, 4 matras. Between each cell, there are 2 matras rest. That's why those 8th note rests are there. And if you see the way the structure works, is that every time I remove 3 matras from the end of the previous phrase. Let's hear it one more time now that we know this. First cell, second cell. And then back to 1. And for the other example, I use the same Yati, of course. And in case of removing notes from the end of myself, I removed notes from the beginning of myself. So I use the same cell again, but instead of removing notes, as I said from the beginning, I remove the first 3 matras, then the first 3 matras of the following one, and the first 3 matras of the following one. And you can see my example here. If you see, again, my scale is la, do, sol, fa, mi, fa, la, re, mi, sol, fa, re, mi. So in this case, I will move the first 3 matras. So I will remove la and do. That's 3 matras long, right? Because it's 16 note with an 8th note. So 8th note is 2 matras long, 1, 2, 3. Then I remove the next 3 matras of the beginning of the next cell, and so on. And let's listen to this one again. And that's our Gopuchayati with 2 different variations. So I hope that this brings you ideas and how to be creative in creating some rhythmical phrases within a piece of music. Of course, we talked about all the other stuff before, the polyrhythms and all these ratios. Now we see more geometry within a meter, within a tala cycle, and different ways of making this happen. I will give another example so you can see it in action, which deals with a different yati, a srotovahayati in this case, in a different gati, just to have another sensation of another possibility. And I will leave you with some exercises on yatis. And the exercises would be to make a samayati on 2 cycles of 5/4, then to make a srotovahayati on 2 cycles of 6/4 in chatusra, to make a gopuchayati on 2 cycles of 7/4 in tisra, and then to make 2 versions of gopuchayati, one removing notes from the start and one from the end, like we did in the previous example. So I hope you enjoyed this series of MOOC with music and mathematics, and I look forward to hear from you in case you have any questions, any remarks, or simply to say hi. So be well and make music.